Hi, I'm Linda. Welcome to my kitchen. It's August here in Iowa. It's actually the first day of the state fair, and I'm going to show you the technique I learned for cutting up a watermelon at the state fair at the watermelon stand, which is right next to the big slide. You should always go to both if you ever go to the Iowa State Fair. So the first thing you have to do with a watermelon, believe it or not, is wash it. I know you're not going to eat the outside of the watermelon, but it may have bacteria on it that would get on your knife and then make you sick. So actually using dish soap, which you never ever do when you're washing vegetables, but you do when you're washing a melon. So get it all clean. Here is your E. coli free watermelon. I'm actually gonna do my cantaloupe too, because surprise! 2 melons for the price of 1. If you're buying your melons from a stand, which is always the best, but not always the way we do it. They were grown in the dirt, and so animals are in the dirt. What you want to look for in a cantaloupe is that the stem end is a little bit soft and it smells like a cantaloupe. For a watermelon, whoops! For a watermelon, you want to have a nice spot here where it ripened on the ground. This came from Sam's Club. This is not the best watermelon we've ever had, but it laid for a while in the ground. You also want to be able to knock on it and it sounds hollow. So to gather your supplies here, I have a cutting board. I like plastic because I can disinfect it, and I like to have a rim to collect the juices. I have a big knife and it's sharp. It's much, much safer to use a sharp knife than a dull knife. So sharpen your knife before you cut into a watermelon. I love this little thing. It's a little scoopy tool that helps get stuff where it needs to go. Totally optional, but I like it. And I also have a bucket for the rind because we're going to need that. And last thing you need is what I forgot, is a great loud big bowl to put your watermelon in. First thing you do, the camera's flashing red, it's very strange. Cut off the ends. You want to cut deep enough that you've got red. This part looks like it's going to taste good. It doesn't taste good. So you want to make sure you cut enough of the rind off that you get to the sweet part of the watermelon. Now it sits much safer this way. So what we're going to do is we're going to take off the whole outside of the watermelon in order to make it way easier to cut up into pieces. So if you flip it over, you're never going to get the bottom side quite right. So always go back through. You see how I'm always cutting away from my other hand? It doesn't matter what you're doing, never cut toward your hand. Things slip, people make mistakes. If your hand's in the way, you're going to the ER, and that's not fun. My cameraman here knows all about that. So now we have our naked watermelon, and this moves pretty quickly. You can do this a couple of different ways depending on how comfortable you are with your cutting skills. This cut is optional. You can just cut it into circles, but this way you have a firmer surface to work from. So cut it in half from the North Pole to the South Pole, and now you've got a nice flat surface for it to work on. Then cut it into half moons. I like to be a little, what is that, an inch and a half thick. And then you simply grab a few of them, stack them on their other flat end. See how easy this is? And repeat the process. Flip. I put the rind in the hole. Ta-da! So and that is how quickly you can put together a watermelon. So this is far easier. This is a cantaloupe. You see, you've got the blossom end and the stem end. So you want to cut, again, North Pole to South Pole through that. And helps if you go all the way through. Don't miss a spot. Then this, you need a big spoon, just a soup spoon. Cameraman's coming along with me. You just use your spoon to scrape those seeds out. Seeds don't hurt anything. They're not poisonous or anything, I don't think. They just don't taste very good. So it's kind of like if you've ever carved a pumpkin, you just scoop out the seeds until it looks like that. Then for this endeavor, you need a smaller knife too. This is actually a steak knife, a non-serrated steak knife that I like to use. So my big knife, since I had it out and dirty, I cut from North Pole to South Pole into wedges like this. When you get to the end, that's when you, if you're going to cut yourself, that's when you're going to cut yourself. So always, when you get to the end, my fingers are on top, my knife is in the middle, and I do that one in two, so that my fingers are never anywhere near my knife. Taking your smaller knife, just trim along, cutting off that. I think I picked a dull knife. Ta-da! Repeat. And then I like to use my big knife because it's more efficient. Stack several of them in a row and cut them into delicious cantaloupe pieces. So that is how you cut up a watermelon and a cantaloupe. See you next time.